We're back to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
Welcome back. I'm Bettina Lawton. I'm your host of Inside Scoop Virginia, and we are doing a show about House of Delegate challengers. We've got a big election this fall. We want to encourage everybody to get out and vote in November. And we've got with us now Ed Deitsch, who is running against Dave Albo. Dave Albo is an incumbent. He's been there for some time. And Dave Albo is sort of notorious. I'm going to try and play this video because, well, let me just say, I'm going to let you look at it. Let me see if you can look at it. We'll see. First I got to do my sound. Let me make sure I got the sound up. There we go. I don't know if the people are hearing it or not. Let me see. Is it playing? No. Well, then we're going to have to skip the video. But I want to, if this is, and the title of it, as people can see on it, on the screen, is Dave Albo's wife rejects sex with him.
Yes.
And for those people who have forgotten how that worked, what happened was that Dave Albo said that he came home from the General Assembly and he was all ready to have a romantic evening with his wife. And the news show was on talking about transvaginal ultrasounds, a phrase that he apparently is perfectly willing to vote for but is unable to say.
He has a hard time getting it out of his mouth.
It really was very odd. And I must tell you, Ed, I was wholly apart from the fact that he and I don't see eye to eye on virtually anything. The fact that he would stand up on the House floor, the House of Delegate floor, and subject his wife to that kind of commentary, saying, here I was, I had my red wine, I had my sexy music on, I'm all ready to, you know, with the wife, and she turns me down. I was like, what kind of person does that? That's really awful, which is why I wanted to play it to remind people that's what happened. But let me first turn to you instead.
Absolutely.
What's your background, Ed?
I spent over 30 years running commercial print and copy centers. I ran 2 of my own small businesses, so I have a good feel for how to get a business to run properly, what help you do need or don't need from government. I also spent 6 years as a veterinary technician. Now what I do in my spare time when I'm not campaigning, I'm part of the Humane Society's National Disaster Animal Response Team.
What is that?
Every time there's a tornado, a hurricane, in fact, I was in Joplin right after the major tornado there. I was on the Jersey Shore 2 days after Sandy, but it also deals with dog fighting, hoarding, all this kind of happiness. The first thing you'll learn doing that is how important it is to have private sector and government work together for a common goal. Mm-hmm. Without that cooperation, we would not be able to accomplish anything when we go out into the field on these things.
Wow, so if there's like, you just go, there's an emergency, there's some
We have to be
disaster?
invited in.
Oh, really?
Yes, we will reach out to the local government. We reached out to the people in Moore, Oklahoma, shortly after the tornado hit there. Their comment was, we have it handled with our local people. If they needed the extra help, Humane Society would then mobilize our crews, which consists of search and rescue teams and people who set up and maintain emergency shelters. So if the search and rescue team finds an animal, they bring it to the shelter that we set up. We then care for this animal, feed it water, give it some playtime, make sure it's walked and is safe until the owners can come back and reclaim their pet.
And this is something that I think really got highlighted with Katrina. That's the first time I ever heard of this
That's
kind
when
of
it
problem.
started.
Is it? Oh, okay.
The laws changed with Katrina. Before that, people were told, do not bring your animal. Now, since Katrina, there has to be one shelter that will take in animals along with the people for every 3 that are just for people.
Oh, I had no idea they did that.
Yeah,
It's
that
a
was
good
changed
idea,
right after
'cause
Katrina. Because,
that was a mess.
well, it wasn't just a mess for the animals. The people who stayed behind, those are the ones where most of the deaths came from because they were not going to leave their pet. Plus, it makes it harder for the emergency responders trying to get the people out because they don't want to leave without their animal.
Right.
And if they finally convince them to leave, then our search and rescue teams have to go into the same area they were trying to pull the people out of to get the animals.
Well,
So.
that was always something that was shocking, and I always sort of watched it. So that is great work.
Thank you.
Now your district, we've got your district on, and it's very odd because you seem to be going Springfield all the way to the river. I mean, that's with this huge cutout right in the middle. I don't know what that's all about.
Well, the huge cutout came right after they did the redistricting. That huge cutout, every little sliver of white that you see sticking in and out of that district is heavily Democratic areas.
Ah, okay. Well, that makes some sense, I suppose, given that the Republicans controlled the redistricting.
Right.
So what made you decide that you wanted to run against Dave Albo? Other folks have tried. What makes you think you can do this?
Well, because of my background, I've always been the kind of person who steps forward when there's something that needs to be done. I've never been one to sit back and say, somebody needs to get up and do something about this. And the video you're referring to, my wife and I were watching on the national news. And as soon as the clip ended, she looked me straight in the eyes and said, so when are you announcing that you're running? She just knew I was not going to sit back and have that representing us in the House of Delegates.
Yeah, it was pretty shocking. So what are the major issues in your area, in the 42nd?
What we're hearing on the doors and what we're hearing, we've been doing some pocket polling also. And people feel that the major things to deal with, jobs, getting businesses to start wanting to come back to Virginia, educational funding, and getting the people in the House of Delegates and in the Senate away from the ideological nonsense that's been going on the last couple of years and concentrating on getting us back to business. Okay. So they want the social agenda stopped. They want funding coming back to the schools. And they want jobs created in the state. Believe it or not, transportation, we have found, is down to about number 5 or 6 on the list, which surprised us.
That is kind of surprising.
Is again, we're in the middle of one of the heaviest traffic areas, but
right.
To them, I guess they've just gotten used to it. They're numb. But what they want to see is school funding come up. I mean, if you look at the statistics right now, we're, depending on who you ask, anywhere from the 5th to the 8th richest state in the country. And we pay our teachers on average of 30th in the country, which is ridiculous. We want to make sure our educational people get funded. Right now, the average age of the teachers in Fairfax County is approaching 50. When they retire, who's going to come into that pipeline? If we're not paying them as much or a little bit more than the other jurisdictions, they're going to be looking elsewhere for these jobs. Right. Our schools are ranked 4th, 5th best in the country. That's a tribute to the teachers. Their determination to get this done and to take care of these students, despite the fact that they haven't seen a raise since 2008, that's just a tribute to them and their hard work.
And do people respond to that on the doors, or do they look and say, great idea, Ed, but I don't want my taxes going up?
No, actually, they think it's very important. We have found that the district has changed a lot. It's an older district as far as the housing, but the demographics have changed. There's a lot of young families moving in. They're moving in with children. They want to make sure these kids are getting a good education. They want to make sure that those kids stay in the area. And the only way to do that is, again, they have to get the right education so that they want to stay and bring their children up in the area. It's a close-knit thing. It's the traditional thing in the state of Virginia is to keep the family nearby. Right. As far as jobs are concerned, I know from when I was running businesses, one of the first things you want to worry about is, A, how are my people getting to work? Part of that was handled with the transportation bill. Is it the best bill in the world? Not really, but it got us money to move forward now. Now, the next couple of sessions, it could be tweaked, turned a little bit. Maybe we get a better bill out of it. That depends on the cooperation in the House. But as I said, the first thing you concentrate on is, how do my people get to work? The second thing is, what's their quality of life? If I'm going to move a business to Virginia, what's going to be like for my people? If the schools are starting to slide a little bit, that's not a good thing. If healthcare is not coming up to where it should be, where all around us people are accepting Medicaid expansions, things like this, not a good thing. So to get these businesses to come in, it's more than just giving them a tax break. You have to make sure the whole package is there, and right now that's not being worked on in Richmond.
So you've got an opponent. Is he one of the ones who are against the Medicaid expansion? You mentioned the health care issues.
I've been briefed by a couple of current members of both the House and the Senate, and the comments on Mr. Albo as far as health care was, if I give you the vote on transportation, I cannot vote on Medicaid expansion. I will not do it, because I can't give you both.
Which is just a political calculus, then.
Just a
It's not
political calculus.
merit-based.
Nope, it's political calculus.
Okay. What do you do about getting more jobs into the area?
Again, we have to reach out in cooperation with the private sector and reach to other areas. I know we have different groups that reach actually outside the country. There's a group right now that's in Richmond that reaches out to businesses in Israel, for instance. Mm-hmm. They do a scan, they see who are the top businesses, they bring in the top 5 or 6, bring them down to Richmond, show them what Virginia's like, show them the different areas, and they try to get them to commit to opening a business here. That's how the Sabra hummus plant ended up in Virginia. Okay. They reached out to them in Israel, brought them over here. And this is what we have to do in other areas. We have to reach out to these large businesses and show them Virginia is the place where they want to operate.
Well, do you think that the part of the difficulty of getting businesses to locate into Virginia tends to be both our transportation network, which makes that all difficult, mm-hmm. but we don't seem to be a very welcoming place. In the last several years, we've had the amendment against the gay and lesbian relationships.
Exactly.
We've had the governor not doing the executive order saying you can't mm-hmm. discriminate. We had, of course, the current attorney general basically telling universities go ahead and discriminate against gay and lesbian folks. Do you think that has any impact on businesses, or do they just sort of brush that aside?
It has a tremendous impact on businesses. Again, you want the people who work for you to feel welcome. You want them to feel that this is home if you're going to move a company someplace or start giving out jobs to people. Mm-hmm. That's how you get your loyalty as far as your employees. They're loyal to you if you have them treated like family. If you're in an area where the ideological ideas coming out of Richmond are, we don't like gays, we don't want you here if
you're a woman.
You're a woman. We're going to pay you less if that, we don't want to take care of marriage equality. These are all things that are going to drive companies away. They are not going to come into that kind of environment.
So are those the types of issues that you will sort of join forces with other Democrats?
I will absolutely be happy to spearhead those issues.
Okay. What do you need to do to win?
What we've been finding is we're trying to set up precinct ops, kind of like the Obama model. Mm-hmm. We have 17 precincts in our district. We're looking for people in every single one of them that know the district, know the neighbors, know who they can go to. We've broken down the numbers so that we can go and say, hey, Bettina, in your district, we need 20 votes. And we're going to ask you to go out and find them for us. And we're going to be knocking on about 15,000 doors to do it. So.
Wow. Well, good luck with that. This is Ed Deitsch. He's running against Dave Albo in the 42nd. Thanks for coming, Ed. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Bettina. Thank you for inviting me.